very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 191st episode of the Together for Education webinars brought to you by Notebook. 2.5 years passed when the pandemic raged outside our windows and schools had closed down. We here at Notebook felt it was our responsibility to set up a platform for educators to connect meaningfully on discussing problems they were facing with the rising need of digital education and online learning and arrive at common solutions. Today, 191 episodes later, this platform has grown much bigger than we could have ever anticipated, all thanks to your love and support. We've discussed extremely curricular topics here like digital learning, NEP and assessments, extracurricular topics like sports and theatre, topics like school finance and management, and even evolved topics like mental health. Today, we have a very relevant topic, comprehensive mental health initiatives in schools. School Mental Health Program, commonly abbreviated as SMHP, has been recognized globally as the key to improve the mental health and well-being of school-going children. The importance of SMHP has been acknowledged by the National Education Policy 2020. The Manodarpan initiative launched by the Ministry of Education under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has been a pioneer project on the mental health of the school children. Indeed, the sound mental health and well-being of students initiates growth, self-preservation, and sustainable development of the young minds, leading way to a stronger nation building. Our first speaker on this topic is Mr. Philip Burrett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the illustrious Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various institutions. Mr. Burrett served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Activities, Dean of Student Welfare, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster. With great distinction, he also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in the year 2011 through in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Burrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He's also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. And we here at Notebook are truly privileged to have Mr. Burrett as a senior advisor. So, a very good evening. Thank you so much for being here today, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Gogori, for that introduction. And a very good evening to Achin, the whole team at Notebook, our esteemed panelists and guests who tuned in. Interesting topic, definitely. I was looking at something, and the World Health Organization defines mental health as mental well-being in which people can realize their abilities and cope with normal stress, work productively, and contribute to the community in a positive way. Mental health is the foundation of well-being for people and for the effective functioning of a community. Mental health has impact on educational outcome, productivity at work, personal relationships, crime rates, drug and alcohol abuse. More than 450 million people suffer from mental disorders, according to the WHO in 2020. Depression can constitute the second largest disease burden worldwide. Medically unfit patients with depression have the worst outcome at work, and poor mental health diminishes our immune functioning. Looking at all this, mental health challenges often are very pervasive. Poor mental health can have several detrimental effects on children and youth. It can impact them academically, also their happiness and success in school in many ways. And it may also interfere with their social relationships and physical health. Children who suffer from mental health illness have a greater risk for adult onset of physical problems, and also more likely to be involved in crime. Even the best teachers in the world could not really make inroads into a child who is emotionally ill. Now, many schools in India, I am afraid to say that they still follow a pattern of education that was developed in effective workers, for the factories. And, and we still follow this type of education pattern, even though thinkers like Piaget, Rogers, Pestalozzi, Erikson, Freud, Montessori, Winnicott had written years before on the importance of mental health. Now, in the old days, just because when I was in school, no one cared for mental health, that doesn't mean that many of us were not mentally, 100%. Most of us, all of us, in fact, have some degree of mental health issues, maybe even to a minor degree. But I think what helped us that we still came from joint families. We played, outside. We had proper sleep. Our food was more fresh and balanced. We didn't buy clothes from supermarkets. Our toys were tops and kites, not from Hamleys. Life was more organized and simpler, I think. I must say that even though life was simpler, doesn't mean, as I said, that we did not have psychological illness. Today, what's happened is schools and teachers are more aware of what's happening with children. When I was in school, jobs were easy to come by. The choices were limited. Colleges were limited. It was easy to join colleges. The cutoffs were lower. There were raw marks. And there was no distraction. There was no TV, internet, social media, cell phones, no malls, no Netflix. This is what made life easier. Now, social and emotional development, I think, lays the foundation for resiliency throughout our lifespan. Almost 70% of the adults with mental illness see symptoms emerge in childhood and early adolescence. And I think we live in a very stressful, almost dopamine addicted world, encouraged by the food industry, stimulated by social media and big pharma. There are more suicides committed today in the 18 to 25 brackets than ever before. And it's also the second highest cause of death in youth. Unlike physical injuries and dental treatment, it's often difficult to identify and put one's finger on mental health issues. It's not easily seen, and therefore it goes it passes by without us paying heed to it. Now, the recognition of childhood trauma is very important. I think I was reading about childhood trauma, and it said that most of us carry from our childhood things that have happened to us, things that have been done to us, right into adult life. And our trauma is stored in our bodies. And children cannot really express, they don't have the vocabulary to express trauma. So it plays out in later life in a lot of addictions. We want to be either pornography addicted, or we are sex addicted, or we are food addicted, or shopping addicted, alcohol addicted. And we ease the pain of our trauma through addictions. And it's said that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it is connection. And so one of the biggest things that we can give our children is this close connect that teachers and carers have with them, the connect with children. And I think every child needs to know that he or she is unconditionally loved. Even not picking up a baby after birth for a few hours may cause immense problems later on. Today we hear so much about physical and sexual abuse, child labor due to poverty, lack of care when the child is young, stressed out working mothers, women who didn't want their children, single parents bringing up and raising children in difficult times. The stress of modern life has led us to resort to addictions. And as I said earlier, it's a way of easing the pain. Again, I think that the breakup of the joint family system, societies, the fathers are absent, the lack of stability, lack of grandparents sometimes in the family leads to a lot of issues. Then, of course, there's this FOMO, the fear of missing out, peer pressure, the fashion industry. It takes its toll on the young. There's so much body shaming, there's so much bullying, cyber bullying, physical bullying, name calling. This is what children have to go through. And this is what is causing the stress in children. Again, as I said, the absence of ritual and routine and even religious instructions in our lives have led to children being anchorless. And so where do they go? They go to rave parties, there's fast driving, there's gang fights, there's body piercing, there's all forms of new type of rituals that our children get involved with. Now, There's also this new sexual revolution that has taken place. People are coming out of the closet. In the schools I work with, when I have to ask children, to put down, their names and their sex, a lot of them are saying now, they're leaving it out. They're not putting man or female or male. They're saying they're putting dashes. So there is this new form of identity that is emerging and causing a lot of issues with children. They're still struggling with sexual identification. Now, eventually we can put the blame on globalization, social media, greater variety of jobs, and therefore more complications. Sometimes greater variety causes more stress. Foreign universities, keeping up with the Joneses. And of course, the gap between the haves and have-nots in our society has grown. And that this is all what's causing the mental illness. What can schools do about it? I think schools can ensure optimum growth and development through mental health programs. I think it's very, very important to first talk about awareness. This involves, of course, teaching children what mental health means and how to maintain positive mental health. It is vital that youth understand the concept of mental health care and that they are responsible for their mental health just as they are responsible for their physical health. The other thing, of course, is that we also must teach children, parents, and teachers to recognize mental health related issues in themselves and others. When mental health problems are left undiagnosed and untreated, they can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms and negatively affect a child's ability to learn and grow. Early intervention is very, very important. The faster you find, the faster one puts his finger on something, the faster one can lead to healing. And also, we must realize that mental health awareness can save lives. Of course, I mentioned suicide, depression. Once we identify it, we can actually save children. I think also this whole idea of stigma. When a counselor tells a child that tells a parent that he may have ADHD or autism, there's a sort of self-stigma. People are defined by their illness and associated, they're put into a stereotype group. They're not well. Negative attitudes towards stereotype groups can lead to the feeling of blame, shame, hopelessness, and distress. We need to remove the stigma and treat mental illness just like we treat dental problems or physical illness. I think we need to bring back in our schools tradition. Very important to have tradition and rituals in a school to give structure to the child's life. They don't have it in their own lives. Counselors and special needs educators with the ability to identify early learning and mental health problems. I think career counseling, in school to help children ease the stress of where to go after school, what am I to do after school. Having a whole school policy where teachers treat children with respect, like human beings, not talking down on them, not calling them names. We need to have teachers who look at what's going right with children rather than be critical and finding out what's going wrong. So therefore, a supportive adult community. We also need to provide them outlets for their anxiety and stress, like sports, a sports program, meditation, anything that will keep them fit mentally and physically. I think we need to have and develop a whole school program that supports mental health. Bullying, for example, the buddy system. Also, open and honest communication without being judgmental helps children have real conversations with us. And of course, we must link up with parents. We can't leave the parents out of it. They're also stakeholders. So teacher, parent, child, this triangle of communication has to be maintained. Not comparing children with other children, with brothers and siblings. We need to understand that every child is unique and that every child has abilities, and just work on those abilities. You must also teach children where and how to ask for help. First of all, understand what's going on, be aware of their emotions, and then how and where to ask for help. Very often in surveys that I conduct in schools, when I ask children if there's one adult that they can go to if they're in trouble, often there is a dash over there. They don't have a person to go to. apart from the counselor. And of course, I think most schools may have procedures already in place, but I think they need to focus more to improve the learning situation and ensure that there is an atmosphere of safety and comfort. Also, I think recognizing that students make positive decisions, such as helping, when a child makes something positive, like helping out a classmate, showing compassion towards others, or studying hard, we need to applaud them. We need to give them a pat on the back. Lastly, I want to end by saying it is incredibly important to structure in socialization for children. There has to be some time in the day when they can be removed from their academic work and just meet friends, just chat, just unwind. This is the downtime that's very important for schools to create and even parents to create. Having said this, I look forward to the views of the experts. I just wanted to lay down the foundation of what, in my view, was mental health and how important it is to be aware of mental health issues. Thank you so much, Gagori, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker on this topic is Mr. Achin Bhattacharyya. Achin is the founder and CEO at Notebook, a chartered accountant by training. Achin was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, and Deloitte. Achin is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, a fellow of the ICAI, a member of CP Australia and CPI Ireland, and a member of CIMA UK. He is also the recipient of the prestigious Indian Achievers Award. An avid reader and a passionate traveler, Achin has keen interest in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He's a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes to numerous publications regularly. He's also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to their brand strategies. Achin, a very good evening and over to you.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Gagori, I hope I'm audible.
Absolutely.
I once again welcome all of you to today's session on a very important but often sadly overlooked topic. Now, despite the prevalence and the kind of catastrophic impact that mental health conditions can have, it's often difficult, and it's very unfortunate, it's often difficult for people to open up and seek help. And that too, when they most need it. Research has shown time and again that harmful stereotypes, fear of social embarrassment, prevent people from seeking professional help or reaching out to their near and dear ones. In recent years, however, fortunately, things have changed for the better. Of course, there's been a lot of social awareness, shift in the way people think, and discuss about mental health issues. So now conversations, be it about depression or anxiety, various addiction, have actually moved from the private to public spaces. In fact, public figures, many celebrities we see often coming forward and opening up, speaking to others about their own share of mental health issues, which at times can definitely help in breaking down the stigma, help others, encourage others, motivate others to come forward with their own problems, seek help. A few days back, I was reading about Prince Harry, about how he spoke to a therapist about his own mental health issues after years of total chaos that he suffered during his 20s. And Harry went on to say that for almost 2 decades after the death of his mother, Princess Diana, he felt like a complete breakdown. He couldn't reach out. He felt completely lost during his professional engagements. He felt total anxiety. And only after suffering for almost 20 years, he decided to seek professional help. Now in his late 30s, he has not only come out of that particular phase, the best thing is he's coming forward and sharing his experience with others and motivating others to come forward and seek help. In fact, in 2016, he started a particular campaign called Heads Together campaign with Prince William and Kate Middleton to help others end the stigma around mental health issues. And he also said something which is very important, which all of us know, but very often fail to acknowledge. He said that once he started talking about it, once he started reaching out, he realized that he is part of quite a big club. There are many others who are suffering in silence, many others who need help. I'd also like to mention about noted singer, Demi Lovato, who is a very outspoken global advocate for mental health awareness. And she's very open about her battles with bipolar disorder, bulimia, about addiction. She has also produced a documentary on this particular topic on mental health. It's a wonderful one. I encourage all of you to watch that. Beyond Silence. It's about her own struggle. And it shares a very powerful side-by-side pictures of her recovery from bulimia, how she entered rehab, how she tackled substance abuse issues. And she also went on to say that it's very important that we create conversations, we take away the stigma, and that we stand up for ourselves if we are dealing with symptoms of mental illness. And it's very clear that incidents like this goes on to prove that it's very much possible to bounce back, very much possible to not only live well, but also thrive and overcome these challenges. We have a great panel of speakers here today with wonderful domain knowledge on this very important and sensitive topic. Hence, I don't take too much of time, but before concluding, I would like to emphasize on two important points. First and foremost, I believe mental health is as important as physical health, if not more. And hence, it's really important that we do everything we can to ensure mental well-being of ourselves and all our loved ones. There's no doubt that it can influence, and when I say influence, both positively and negatively, our barometer of success, both in professional as well as personal sphere. And second, I think Burrett also wonderfully mentioned that we all go through our own phases of highs and lows, and that's quite natural. I think it's very important to reach out, to share our feelings with those who genuinely care. And if required, even go a step further and seek professional help without any inhibition, any hesitation, or fear of social embarrassment. So today's topic, and this wonderful topic, I'm sure that we all look forward to hear from our esteemed panel, their views, their experiences on this particular topic. I thank all of you for giving me a very patient hearing, and I look forward to hear from our experts. Over to you, Gauri.
Our next speaker on this topic is indeed a subject matter expert for this topic. We are delighted to have with us Dr. Jitendra Nagpal, MD, DNB, Senior Consultant, Psychiatrist, and in charge, Institute of Mental Health and Life Skills Promotion, Mulchan Medcity, New Delhi. He is also the Program Director of Expressions India, the National Life Skills Community and School Wellness Program. Dr. Nagpal has been in the services planning, training groups, and on board with many committees under the MHRD, MOHFW, Ministry of WCT, Social Justice, CBSE, NCRT, and UGC. He has developed various programs and training manuals under the MHRD for schools-based implementation of health, safety, and well-being programs. Dr. Nagpal is also a working group member of Mano Darpan, psychosocial support for mental health and well-being of students during the COVID outbreak and beyond, an initiative by Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, as I just now mentioned. Sir, a very, very warm welcome from the team of Notebook, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Indeed, a great honor to be here amongst the very erudite speakers and galaxy of educationists. I agree that this is an area of expertise, but I may not agree that I am an expert. Undoubtedly, listening to Burrett sir and Bhattacharyya sir, I do feel honored that India is in a mood of conversation, regarding mind, mental health, and human behavior, and a behavioral change process as a as a not as a competitive but as a complementary angle to human progress. Uh, One must be wondering that why mental health is today so much a talk of the world. And post COVID, I think the WHO has proclaimed that mental health as a chronic aftermath of the COVID disaster is going to be bigger a crisis than the COVID itself. Today, nothing less than about 950 million people, that's coming to a great amount of billion beyond that, are actually suffering from mental health disorders. Not just symptoms, not just tip of the iceberg, but you can see the mammoth task the world has got. The World Mental Health Report, the World Mental Health Report has come just about 90 days back. And it has come after about nearly 25 years. So it took a quarter of a century to actually look at where is the planet Earth heading for mental health domain, understanding mind, mental health, and the human behavioral change as a challenging task. So today, if 25 years later, a document that talks about the role and responsibility of the non-mental health sector, say education, say youth and sports, say women and child development, youth affairs, we are looking at law, legal support, legal literacy, and then we talk about mind and mental health. Today it's a time, an opportunity for a conversation to move into the corridors and the portals of every human walk of life, every human aspect of life. Now, whether it is agriculture, whether it is about economy, mind, mental health as a component of growth and development, including the happiness index defined by the World Bank and not by the health or the education sector. The economists are talking about the world of tomorrow with a world of happiness and mental health. Our own Professor Amartya Sen at the Harvard Business School spoke about how mind and human behavior defines the economy of the nation. Today, gross national happiness by the none other than Bhutan, our near neighbors, is actually a notified indicator of human growth and development. Gross national happiness, not GDP and per capita income. Today, we look at the IITs in India, the IIMs in India, the AIMS and the allied medical colleges in India having full-fledged counseling centers. And why not? It is not about the one who suffers or the one who suffers and knows not what he suffers from. It is about why not look at every human being from the angle of mind as a component of living life and learning and growth. Mind as a component of daily health curriculum. Mind as a component of every person's responsibility, and mind as a component of no stigma, no prejudice, no discrimination, no condemnation. Are we ready for that? I think we are not yet ready for that because we are shrouded away in the mysteriousness of the mind. We are shrouded away in the black magic, the voodooism, the tantrism about the mind. We are still not able to come out to a large extent from the traditional fact of only the faith as a healer. Undoubtedly, it's very important. But the fact that the science and the art of mental health is come here to stay, thanks to extensive research in India also. Coming to why education and mental health cannot be separable. If education is here, if the new policy of education is here after what? Since 1986, in 2020, we have the NEP 2020. If that is here, if evolution of education is here, if transformation of transaction of education is here, if child-centric pedagogy is here, if participatory interactive learning in the classroom is here, if empowerment of learning is here, if student as a leader of education is here, if student as a ownership of education is here, then can mind be far behind to be empowered? Every student as a leader, every student as a owner of education, every child not to be left behind because of mind, mental health or behavior, and every child as a beneficiary of healthy, happy, perfect environment in school. Are we creating that climate? The answer is yes. We are all here. We are all here by the turn of the 2025 to create happy schools. But the question remains, what is a happy school? A school that I walk in the morning and I hate to go back in the afternoon. A school that I run in the morning and just walk back in ignominy in the afternoon. The school, a temple of learning that invites me to celebrate my childhood, to celebrate my life, living and life skills. That is mental health. And I agree with sir. In the beginning, Bharat sir told us mind, and Bhattacharyya sir told us mind is not about absence of mental health problems. Mental health is not about absence of mental health disease. Mental health is a celebration. It is a fulfillment of a glorious life, a productive, happy, empowered, liberal life to express what I feel is right to be expressed, both as a child, adolescent, and a young adult in school, in college. That's mental health. So once we expand the understanding, the celebration of mind as a component of well-being and not just absence of a disease, I think we will start embracing mind and mental health. And that is why the title here, in fact, was the title recently of the national conference we had organized on behalf of the Government of India, Manodarpan, Comprehensive Mental Health Initiatives in Schools. What does the word comprehensive mean here? I'm sure with our very learned panelists over here, we'll be able to decode that word. Comprehensive implies care at every level of schooling, primary to identify, to intervene. Primary means to promote well-being and mental health as a climate. Each and every student, each and every teacher and parent who walks into the portal of a school celebrates the love of schooling, celebrates the idea of schooling. And the idea of schooling is not about literacy anymore. It's about human overall holistic development. That is where mental health will not be just another jargon. Mental health will be embedded, embodied, and also integrated in an inclusive classroom of 21st century schooling. We are at a crossroad in our country where about, for example, I'll tell you, 13 to 17% of our children are suffering from diagnosable mental health conditions. Now that's near a disaster. You can imagine if 100 children in India are growing today, if 17 of them need urgent help for mental health, it could be a cross section of so many depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, panic attacks, psychosomatic disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, bipolar mood disorders, schizophrenia beginning in adolescent period. I think it's important that we all become partners for it. And again, let me tell you that the median age, यानी कि एक एवरेज एज कौन सा होता है जब सारे मेंटल हेल्थ के डिसऑर्डर्स कहीं ना कहीं शुरू हो सकते हैं. And you know what is that age? 14 years. 14 years is the median age of onset of any mental health condition which can happen throughout the life of a human being, even if it is 80, 85 years today expectancy. So if it is the 14 years approximately, that's a schooling year. And are we missing that symptom? Are we missing that intervention? Are we missing that because of stigma, for prejudices, for labeling, for claiming somebody is crazy, mad, nerd? These are the jargons which we give to people who suffer unnecessarily from mental health conditions and probably even take away their life. Today, India has the highest number of suicides in the young people in the world. Are we going to wake up on that? The NCRB report of 2021 says more than approximately 11,000 suicides in the youth of India in 1 year. Please read that report, NCRB report, the National Crime Records Bureau. Yes, why does somebody at a young age of 15 to 20 years reach that stage Are we able to help come together, celebrate life, and also allow people to be expressing? So I think it's a wonderful opportunity here. The programs can be plenty. We led the peer educators' role in mental health way back in 2005, and you'll be happy to know that today it is one of the flagship programs of CBSE, covering more than 3,000 schools. The peer educators leadership program in life skills, mental health and well-being. We're going to have the CBSE Adolescent Summit in December. We're expecting participation of a large number of schools coming to Delhi to celebrate the idea about owning mental health as a paradigm of modern schooling, with life skills as a medium, with safety and well-being as a celebration. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think if the child is the father of the man, if mind is in its own place, as the great Milton said, it can make a hell or a heaven out of it. It's high time now that we decode the word mental health, understand from a perspective of a community jargon, accept it as a part of our daily conversation, integrate it with every subject, whether it is language or science or social science, day-to-day examples about mind and mental health and behavior. For example, a lesson on road safety, a lesson on how certain high-risk patterns of behavior like cancers in India, hypertension, diabetes, aren't they so many behavioral? Aren't they behavioral in nature? Tell us if we behave well, if we take care of ourselves. We talk of our honorable Prime Minister talking about Fit India. And Fit India is so much about the psyche. It's not about role models about fitness. It's about basic minimum self-care. If mind can be suffering, then the winter and the spring is not far behind. The entire body suffers. There are so many disorders of the body, including the most common cancers in India. They are related to human emotions and behavior and habits which we have day-to-day life. I think our children need to know that scientific language. Our children need to be given that exposure to science and art of modern living with mind, mental health, and good behavior, because it is all about good health and good harmony and happiness. So I think with these words, I'd like to conclude. Look forward to hear the other speakers. You must have found that I'm very sentimental about this topic. One, because when I started, I can share with Notebook, when I started, I had to go through a lot of stigma and condemnation. Oh, mind and mental health, this is not required. Especially when it came to non-mental health sectors. I'm so happy that celebrities talk about this. Our film actors, our cricketers, our great scientists talk about mind and mental health. It's so heartening to see crusades happening. A lot of efforts coming in from the corporate sector, a lot of efforts coming in from the great business schools who talk about the emotional quotient of young managers and not the success, but the strength and the emotional value of young managers of tomorrow who will lead the country. Because mind has been shrouded, as I told you, in the mysteriousness about, I would say, a lot of esoteric dialogue, but it never came into the consideration of day-to-day jargon. But today the child is asking for it. So let's wake up. The young child, a 5-year-old, is asking for attention from parents in the digital world where we don't have time for each other, but we have 18 hours for the mobile. It's all about how the human interaction starts and the human interaction ends on a day-to-day note. Validation is what the child is looking forward to. Validation, emotional support and validation, affirmations. I'm sure our speakers will tell us more about that. But let us celebrate mental health, and I'm thankful to Notebook for considering this topic as vital to the integratory part of the education. I think it's wonderful to see a large galaxy of people always coming forward to talk about this from different fields. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed very, very insightful, and sincere apologies once again for the network glitch. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a wonderful panel lined up for you today. But before we start with the panel discussion, a little bit about us here at Notebook. We at Notebook are an edtech platform that creates short videos pertaining to the school curriculum. This means that every topic from every subject of the school syllabus has been converted into a series of short videos that can be used in two different cases. One is when you as a teacher are starting out a topic in your classroom, you can play one of these videos as a method of visually introducing the topic to your students. These videos are just 6 to 10 minutes in duration and take up very little of your class time, or offering the right kind of material to students to generate curiosity and excitement. The second is when the student is studying at home much later. They have access to the same videos on their personal devices, be it a laptop or smartphone. They can watch the videos over and over again until they get a very clear understanding of the topics that you had taught. What I'm going to do now is play you some short snippets of notebook videos so that you know what they exactly look like.
सालीम जी मृत्यु पर्यंत पक्षियों की तलाश, सुरक्षा और संरक्षण में भटकते रहे, जिसे यहाँ अंतहीन सफर कहा गया है। किंतु सालीम अली का यह सफर पिछले तमाम सफरों से बहुत अलग है, क्योंकि इस सफर से कभी कोई लौट कर नहीं आया। सालीम अली भीड़ भाड़।
Think about the number line. It is a straight line where numbers are placed at equal intervals. Considering 0 on the number line, the number proceeds till plus infinity when we move to the right of 0. The numbers continue till negative infinity when we move to the left of 0. So the number line...
Mr. Sergey suddenly recognized the man as the same man he had met a few days back in Sadovia Street. He remembered him saying that he had been a student who had been expelled. The advocate got terribly angry and threatened to call for the police. The imposter, Lushkov, now caught red-handed, laid his hand on his heart and confessed that he had actually been a Russian choir singer. He had lost his job because of...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those were some short snippets from notebook videos as you just now saw. We have today connected with over 3,500 schools and have had more than 44 lakh students benefit from our videos. If you head over to our website www.notebook.school or use our mobile apps for Android and iOS, you would find more than 10,000 such videos at your disposal. With that, it is now time to introduce the wonderful panelists that we have with us today. Today we have with us Ms. Anamika Ghose, Head of Special Needs, Pathways World School, Gurgaon. Ma'am has about 14 years of experience with children in the capacity of school counselor and psychology teacher. She is also a trained teacher and special educator with a BA Masters in Applied Psychology and Special Education Diploma. She has worked with the hearing impaired children in Kolkata and has been a teacher and counselor at St. Thomas School, Kolkata. Ma'am has also worked for over 8 years at the Doon School as a school counselor and a psychology teacher and SEN coordinator. She aspires to start a resource center to help lower income children to cope with special needs and help the parents understand their learning disability as well as accept it. Ma'am, a very, very good evening and welcome to the panel. We also have with us Ms. Namrata, Principal, Indian Public School, Hajipur, Bihar. An educationist by heart, she has been serving in this field for the past 25 years, specialized in guidance and counseling in BA for students with a master's in English. She is extremely passionate about teaching and believes that happy children are an integral part of the growing society. With reading as her core, she believes that one should share the burden of the society by doing their best with dedication and perseverance. Ma'am, a very good evening and thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the panel. I would request both of you to kindly switch on your cameras. Good evening, ma'am. I would come to Anamika, ma'am, first, if it's okay.
So,
ma'am, so yes, ma'am.
What were you going to say? Let's hear you first.
Good evening, everyone.
Ma'am, I have a question for you. Like the importance of mental health and well-being, especially among the school students, have been acknowledged with the NEP 2020. So how are we implementing this at the school level?
So, first and foremost, I would like to talk about implementation is only possible if you have acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was going through the Manodarpan module, and reading it. It sounds very interesting. And there's a very interesting poem which I would like to read so that we could all just look at it from the point of view and answer your question thereafter. So they say, if the poem is by Dorothy Nolt and it says, children learn what they live. So it's if children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with ridicule, they learn to be shy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn to be patient. If children live with praise, they learn to appreciate. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and others. If children live with friendliness, they learn the world is a nice place in which they can live in. So, it sums everything that we've been discussing right now. And when we talk about implementation, I feel in India, per se, because I live it every day and I do the international curriculum, but I've worked in national curriculum. If we don't have accountability, it's very nice to have all this put in, and use the self-help books and employ counselors and have children train teachers and everything. We have to remember that India has a vast number of students and a vast number of teachers. Does the NEP, I'm reading the NEP and I just wanted to ask this because I have an esteem, I know Namrata would know this very well. What's the training in the B.Ed program or the NCT teacher training program that teaches teachers how to inculcate or imbibe resilience, adaptation, dialogue, these skills? We're talking about Achin spoke about 21st century skills. Philip talked about childhood trauma. Implementation of all of this through the Manodarpan and the NEP. I think it's still very, very volatile, very, very at the beginning stage. Dr. Jitendra put it very well. He's on the working committee, so he knows. Urban children and rural children have a very different outlook at what their issues are. And the pandemic, I thank the pandemic because it's taught me to become a better teacher for urban children. Would I be a very good teacher or a very impactful teacher in the rural setup? I don't think so. Because if you don't live the lives they live, you won't understand the traumas they go through. For us to handle someone who's got domestic violence, so to think about it, the COVID hit a farmer's house. They don't have a phone. The child is taken out of school. The midday meal is gone. There's so much trauma going on there. Anxiety. When will the school open? When will I send my child to school? Will he also turn out to be a farmer like his father? Farmers suffered losses. It was a vicious cycle, that was created. How do you deal with that kind of domestic violence? Alcoholism, lack of space. Can you imagine in the little houses and hutments that these people have, the poor who go to the Sarvodaya Abhigyan, because this is a policy that's going to be implemented in all schools across the country. I don't think there's, so the plan and implementation and the impact and accountability, these are three processes. So you plan, you implement, and then who's checking the accountability? How much of an impact? What's the survey? So I think when we make it more accountable, where we do have people from the ministry attending, doing refresher courses and everything, the implementation will show its visibility in happier children, more children coming to school. Lots of children now prefer to be behind the screen because they're going through their own sets of, traumas, anxieties. I think there are three. I know for a fact I was counseling a kid who was supposed to give the examination in 2021 and seek admission into a college in 2021. But what happened is got deferred because they couldn't sit for the entrance exams because there was no clarity on that. So how do these children reach out? I'll tell you what was very interesting that I read. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says 1 in 5 children had some form of mental health requirements. Let's put it that way. And only 20% of that entire corpus got help, right? UNICEF says that 330 million youngsters across the world, forget India, of which would have been a big part of India, were at home for over 9 months since March 2021. So they were not even allowed to go out to play or open their windows in some cases. Don't open your windows, you know? So I think that, and another thing, which is very important, and we tend to forget, more than the acceptance or the reaching out of a child for help is the approval that they seek from their parent. If a parent doesn't understand that my child, many times, even I have faced it in my growing up years. Oh, no, this is a phase. Why are you wanting attention? You get all the love from us. These things also prevent us from going and seeking help from a counselor. I'm a trained clinical psychologist. Seeking help, we're counseling I have counseled children, and parents have come and said, my child does not require counseling. That's an urban situation. In the rural situation, they'd rather take the child to maybe the sarpanch's family, some member, or some relative of theirs, or send the child away to a relative rather than addressing the problem. Gagri is looking a little confused. Am I making sense? That's most important. I'm talking about real life situations. When you talk about implementation is very easy to do. You have a guidebook, you have a handbook. Okay, guys, we have to do this. Tell your teachers, all the teachers go through this, do the modules with the children. What's the impact? Who's checking in on us, whether we're doing it right or not? So, I look at implementation as just a means to an end. So I can have on my school rolls 2 counselors who may not be qualified to handle this. I'll have teachers who are not sensitive enough, and I haven't done enough sensitization. So I am going to be the devil's advocate and say that, implementation is the easiest form. You give a book, please follow this and do it. Ask a child, how many times have you gone to, do you know that there's a whole list of database? Ask a teacher, there's a database of counselors. How many counselors have you connected with to consult about? Have you consulted your school counselor regarding some bad behavior in your class? Implementation can only happen if the class size was good enough for a teacher to see with her 2 pairs of eyes and feel with her heart. 60 children in a classroom who've come back, they're trying to readjust to offline classrooms. Seeing a teacher on the screen, you can switch off the screen and the teacher keeps screaming, please switch on your camera, please give your homework, please do this. Now you're there. There's a lot of resistance that has developed. How does a teacher, what about the teacher's mental health? If a teacher's so rattled with all these new things that they have to do, how do they translate it to a child? So there are a lot of areas where I was looking through the document, and it's quite a large document, if I could say so. There are pages and pages and pages of lovely stuff, lovely videos. Implementation. How do I show a child who's sitting in the village a video through YouTube? So some points of implementation, very easily a teacher can say it's not possible. Yahan pe to aisa nahi ho sakta hai. I have faced it when we've gone out to roll out a certain program for life skill in the local villages. They're like, this all will not work here. So the urban-rural aspect is very difficult to say that, it's happening. It's a wonderful initiative. I'm not denying that. It's very well planned. But implementation could only be as impactful as if there was accountability. Are we just ticking a box that there's a school counselor? How many children are going there? What are the issues? Can we do a survey of what's the maximum number of footfall and what are the key issues? And how are we addressing it? What are our life skill classes doing? Do we have life skill classes? You know, in my days, we used to have a class called Moral Science Day, moral science class, so, you know, and SUPW, through which we were taught certain skills, and we taught also how to adjust and adapt. Etiquette classes. But when you say that, okay, kids, please let's go to mental health class, मैं थोड़ी ना पागल हूँ. So the association of mental health and mental well-being, that whole concept has to change. And I'll give you a statistic. In a country like the US, children are still going through highest number of anxiety and depression are one of their highest issues. You see the American Psychological Association statistics, between the ages of 12 and 17, the children still go, and it's a developed nation. We have miles to go before we sleep as a community of carers, facilitators, supporters. And, you know, sometimes some people say that, you know, I can't counsel because we associate counseling with a degree. So I said, have a conversation. Sometimes that's the implementation. You don't have to follow the book. You just need to give that sense of listening. Listening skills have to just develop in teachers. Rather than us, we're still in the race of completing syllabus, you know, doing the social service, doing this activity, that activity to fulfill SUPW, but we're not listening. If we listen a little more, and I think when we plan things, we have to take every stakeholder's understanding of why we need to do this. I don't think that has been implemented good enough, because I have someone working in my house, child goes to government school, and the father's an alcoholic. I'm just giving you a simple thing. So I asked, she said that I'm not sending her to school because she's just upset all the time. She's not eating, she's not doing that. I said, doesn't the school have someone she can talk to, because she's not talking to anybody? She's saying, no, Didi, if she tells the teacher, then the teacher will say something in front of all the kids. So she's, you know, so implementation, is it happening? No, I don't think so. I mean, I mean, at least from the little experiences I have. But yes, having a school counselor has become a mandate. You have to have a school counselor, whether part-time. And we don't follow, I think NCRT, the last I remember is there's a school counselor for one counselor for every 100 kids, 100 to 150 children. You have to have one qualified counselor. And that counselor is not supposed to teach, not supposed to substitute, not supposed to do anything. It's supposed to run the program of well-being. But I don't think that is, because we have a lot of students in psychology doing counseling and diagnostic psychology in the university I studied in, and they're still without work. So now they're preparing for a teaching degree. They said, we'd rather teach than be counselors. You know, so these are the aspects, I think, implementation, very important. I'll give you the pluses, which I really, as a teacher, would help me. The advisory guidelines, the web page, sharing just posters of the toll-free helpline, because all our children have mobiles. You know, just raising awareness that, look, you don't want to talk about it to anybody in the school, you can call this toll-free helpline. So that's my take on implementation. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think the example of children being taken to the panchayat, panch head, or like being sent off to his relatives, that was really, really striking for me. I was trying to correlate that to the urban children, like, and the differences of treatment of both the areas. It was really interesting. Thank you so much for those wonderful deliberations, ma'am. I would come to Namrata, ma'am, next. A very good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, so my question is, the Manodarapan initiative was the first of its kind amidst the pandemic. So now the pandemic being over, do you think such kind of initiatives will fade away, or it will just just have a rising call.
Good evening, everyone. It is really a wonderful, I think I'm audible, first of all, Gaguri.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And first of all, I would really like to thank Notebook team and that I am privileged to be here and I got an opportunity to be a part of such an endeavor and such a webinar. And I was really happy and I really connected to hear what Anamika ma'am said, because I am a principal in a rural area. My school belongs to a complete rural area. I am from Bihar and I had taught in one of the previous branches of my school as an English teacher there. And then I was promoted as a principal in the next branch, and where I have been serving for the last 7 to 8 years. So, there is a complete shift of mindset from urban to the rural area. The problem of urban, and why not only, and even in urban area, what the parents face in metros like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Bangalore, and what parents face in small cities, I will call that the second slab city like Patna or Kanpur or such cities. There is a complete different kind of mindset. And whatever all our experts have said, that is completely true. Mental health is a very important topic today, and it is good that celebrities are talking about it. The government is trying its best, but still there is a long way to go. And in this long process, I will not repeat the same things, but what our experts have said, what Anamika has said, I would just like to add that the society needs to change the mindset. The mindset of the society is about success. What is success? How do we see success as? We are in the rat race of pushing our children towards making money with packages. There is the comparison. And where the parents need to be more, counseled rather than the children. If the parents are in peaceful mindset, if the parents have a proper mental health, if the parents understand, because nowadays the parents are also more, anxious than the children. And when the parents are anxious, what is happening? It is being transformed onto the children. The children are going through different kind of pressure. There is societal pressure. The pressure is in the school. The pressure is at home. There is the pressure of comparison. Yes, the people are talking about different things. That's true. But still, there is a kind of mindset of society that, okay, the more you need to be successful, that means you should have a good package. You should have a good house. You should move to a good city. And you should try to become a doctor, engineer. Still, the mindset is in that frame. People still, as career perspective or prospects of career, what is the prospect of career in India? If you start counting, no one will talk about a teacher. No one wants to become a teacher still. And if people want to become a teacher, then that is a pedestal where they see themselves, okay, if I can't do anything, then I will become a teacher. And then they do not become teachers by passion. And when they become teachers, there are very few people, very few teachers who take it as a, respect, not because they don't like it, because again, there is the mindset of society. So moving from that topic, I would just like to say a very famous Indian psychiatrist, I think people must have heard the name more than I, and they must have read his books, Vikram Harshat Patel. He said that there is no health without mental health. Mental health is too important to be left to the professionals only, alone. And mental health is everyone's business. It is not the business of any one single person. A soul counselor, a soul psychologist can't do this. The best people who can handle it is the parents, then the society. Because, earlier there was a joint family. I, as a principal, particularly feel this, that because I have been in this field of education for the last more than 20 years, almost 24, 25 years. And I have felt that children who are able to share, or the children who get love and affection, in the kind of joint family or who are in a peaceful family, they don't face such issues. They face such issues, but that is, that is not as much as in comparison to the children of the nuclear family. Then today, in today's perspective, we have one more, you can say, I will not call it enemy, but we have one more hurdle, and that is mobile phone. Just a couple of days back, when we had PTM in the last month in my school, one of the parents came and he said, कि आप लोगों की वजह से मेरा बच्चा बर्बाद हो गया है. I was really taken aback that what happens. तो कहा कि आप लोगों ने उनको फोन दे दिया है, मोबाइल फोन आप ही लोगों ने दिया है, और आप लोगों की वजह से अब वो सिर्फ मोबाइल फोन पे लगा रहता है और वो पढ़ता नहीं है. We said that no, we have never given them the mobile phone, and we have always, initiated, and we called you, and we have been sending the messages that the children don't need the mobile phone anymore. We are taking every bit and step that we don't send any kind of project or anything on the mobile phone. We discourage it. We discourage it as much as possible. It is very rare that we send messages. Even I am not sending messages in my school on mobile phones. We only send messages like holiday and others, even that to the parents. And but he said कि नहीं आपने दिया. मैंने उनको समझाया कि that was the corona period and it was the requirement of the hour, and you also have to monitor. So the parents in rural area, there are so many parents who come to me, and there are so many children who are in our school who are the first line of generation who have come to receive the education in the formal setting. They belong to such economically backward family, or they were not able to send their children to the school, or their parents have not been to the school, so they don't have the exposure. And when people don't have exposure, of course they need to get that exposure. So there are so many things that together are responsible for the mental health of children, mental health of teachers, mental health of parents, and mental health of all the stakeholders. Actually, I was really happy to hear Sir Philip, Mr. Achin, and Mr. Nagpal sir, who is really this, his pointers were very informative and eye openers also. And I have also watched Mano Darpan, and we as CBSE principal and teacher, we all have to follow and get into touch with all kind of CBSE initiatives that are sent, the letters that are sent, the notifications that are sent. And actually one thing is very practical, which Miss Anamika ma'am said, that they are trying their best. So I will take a line in between, that at least the effort has started. Earlier there was no effort, so now the effort has started, and the implementation has a long way to go. Because for implementation, people need to get aware. And when awareness is not there, people will not, the implementation will not be as much as the government or the system or the authorities are seeking. Even the practical problems that we face in the school, in different schools, all the schools don't have the same kind of setup, don't have the same kind of economical, budget. I will tell you, just I need to share this, that during the pandemic, our school children were not even attending the classes, because majority of them were not able to buy a phone. Still we managed, there was only one phone in a family. So I just planned, and then we managed how to do. We planned the classes in 2 shifts, and our teachers were working in 2 shifts, and I'll say in 3 shifts. And again, I will add to that they were working without salary because the payment was not coming. There are such school in rural areas where teachers are not able to, even in private school. This is the problem, that the teachers get the salary on monthly basis. When there is income, we send the salary. No income, no salary. Because if we ask for 3 months fees, the parents would not be able to give. They are not so economically, well-to-do of that they can give. There are children of farmers, there are children of soldiers, there are children of, auto rickshaw drivers. So many, all kind of economical class we are catering to. But I I am really proud to say that, and I'm happy to say that still we coped. We coped through the COVID. With one mobile, the sister or the brother who were in junior sections, they were attending the classes in the second shift, and the senior brother who was in class 8 or 9 or 7, they were attending the classes in the first shift. So this was again a learning experience. If God, we just pray to God that it should never happen again. But if ever it happens, maybe we can come with a better plan, isn't it? So there are so many challenges, and of course the issues that Gaguri, you asked the question that what will happen since the pandemic has gone and what is the requirement? No, the requirement is still here. Actually, the pandemic made us, more conscious. It gave us as a principle also I can just say that so many people will agree that we were not aware of such issues earlier. The pandemic gave us a new, a new experience of exploring new avenues in education in different forms. And moreover, the best part is that most of us tried to become a better human being. And if we have not tried, we should try, because that is something which I believe particularly in, that what you sow, that you will reap. Perhaps many of our close ones, or many of our loved ones, some people lost their relatives, someone lost their loved ones, but still the life has to go on, and this is what what we can teach to our children. And teaching is the best profession, I can say, where teachers have to work for the betterment of the society. Even if they will work a little bit, they will work for the betterment. Even if they work with passion, that can be wonderful. But that is a job where we can't think that, no, I will do this much only, or I can do this much only. We keep on trying in spite, even if we don't like, even if we like, we have to work. Because, when we connect with the children, they are so pure soul. When we connect with the students, whom they look up to their teachers only. So that is the requirement. And then I would like to say that one more thing which I observed, and that parents counseling is very important in this mental health issue. If all the schools, or if CBSE is able to do something about the parents, which they have been trying also. They have also been trying to, connect to the parents with the webinars, and they have been sending, notifications and program. They have designed the programs in such a way that they ask us to, call the parents and discuss things with them. But as Anamika said, that there are so many inhibitions. When we want to talk to the children, talking to the children about sex education in Delhi, or in a developed city, is very easier, or it is very easy to convince, or at least we can convince them. But this kind of convincing in rural setup is rather difficult. So there are so many challenges. This is just one example. Or for talking about drug abuse, or for talking about any kind of problems. Children even don't open about their family problems easily. Where children in urban setup, they open up. Not every time. All the children are not able to open up easily, but in rural area, it is rather difficult. So we have to, even as an individual, the school principals can think about some or other way. For example, when we have PTMs, we try to, we conduct PTMs on Saturdays. And after pandemic especially, it is my request to the teachers also, and our team of the teachers do that we tell them that you don't have to talk about the negative points of the children. First, you tell them about what, even if the children is not good in academics, you don't have to say that he's not studying, he is not good at studies, because the parents also come to hear something good about the children. And this has been a stereotype of PTM happening in our schools generally, that we talk about academics a lot, or we talk about activities. Oh, he is a boy with a good behavior, he's he's good in cleanliness, he is good in activities. There might there are some children who are not of that nature, who are not opening, who are shy, or who may not be getting good marks, but still we have to tell some positive point to the teachers to raise their self-esteem. Parents also have a self-esteem. किसी का बच्चा टॉप करता है, बहुत अच्छा नंबर लाया, उसके पेरेंट्स तो बहुत खुश होते हैं कि ओके माय चाइल्ड इज ऑलवेज इन द टॉप 10, टॉप 5. बट व्हाट अबाउट दोज हु आर नॉट इन टॉप 10, who has secured 20th position or even the 40th position, but that child is also important for the school. That child also comes to the school to learn something, to see something, and he has a hope. He comes to school every day with a hope. So that hope has to be kept alive. And I think that after pandemic also, as you Gagori, you asked, that yes, it is very important still to take care of the mental health in spite of the fact that the pandemic has gone, but we are human beings and we need to take care of our mental health, because challenges and adversities, there has been so many points that our experts have talked about, life skill and all. So it has to continue in all the times, whether there is pandemic or whether pandemic is not there. But we as human beings have to teach, we have to learn and have to teach our children that how we are going to face the adversities in any point of life, whether it is any kind of adversities. The adversities is the challenge is in the form of COVID only. It is not necessary. It may be in any kind of form. Recently there were 3 brothers and sisters in my school whose father has lost his job due to some problem, and they are not able to pay their fees for the last 1 year. And they belong to a very good family, and they are very good at studies. But now the situation is that what will the school do? What should we do? They are not in a condition to pay the fees. His father has given up. His father has given up. His parents have given up. Their parents, and they have told that we are not able to pay, we will not be able to pay the fee. So please just give TC to our children. And all 3 of them are very good at studies. Now, what should I do? If I ask them to leave the school, their mental health, of course, they have studied for the last, 7 years in my school. And if I now tell them to leave my school and, you have to go to a government school, how will they cope? So there are such issues also, which affect the children in a different way. So this relevance of mental health is going to be taken care more and more in the coming period, because now it has started. I think people will agree with me that it is a kind of revolution. This is the time, high time, that people are speaking about it. The society is getting a little bit exposure. The society is becoming exposed to it. That okay, today only I read in a newspaper that Rahul has sought help from the psychologist or psychiatrist, from whom one of the other famous cricketers from whom Kohli sought the help in mental issues. So the children idealize such cricketers. बच्चों को cricketers बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं. तो जब ये लोग इनके बारे में बातें करते हैं, तो बच्चों को भी ये हेल्प मिलेगा कि नहीं, हम लोग भी कुछ पूछ सकते हैं. जब कोहली जैसे क्रिकेटर बात कर रहे हैं या KL राहुल बात कर रहे हैं, तो we can also ask about it. And I completely agree with all my experts that we need to do work in a better direction. And thanks to all of you, it was really so informative and so nice. And I, as a principal and a human being and a teacher, because I'm a teacher by heart, and it was really nice to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
those wonderful deliberations. Wanted to congratulate your school on the hard work that they put up during the COVID.
Yes,
And
thank you.
many congratulations to all of you. I must say that it has been an extremely heartwarming discussion, as well as insightful. And I would like to call back Achin for the vote of thanks, please.
Really wonderful session, very touching and very informative. And I'm sure that this will start many more conversations, initiate many more conversations. I mean, that's the objective. Dr. Nagpal, thank you so much. I think very informative, very motivating. And I think you very beautifully summed it up, sir. that mind as a component of no stigma, no prejudice, no discrimination, and no condemnation. I think that's the spirit of the evening. And of course, the fact of the matter is that human interaction, the way we look at it today, and it's so important that in spite of the fact that we are so busy looking at the screen, and that's a practical reality in every drawing room, in every dining room, in every home. I think it's really important that emotional support, affirmation, validation that you spoke of is something that we always ensure for our children. And that will go a long way to ensure their mental well-being. So I think, thank you so much. Wonderful. Burrett sir, thank you so much for your deliberation. Wonderful start. Set the tone for the entire discussion. We covered holistically the topic and some great points and great experiences. Namrata ma'am, thank you so much. I think
Thank you, sir.
You spoke to it from a very different perspective, and I really like the way you discussed about parents' anxieties and the fact that at times those anxieties, how they're putting pressure on children, and the need to also work closely with parents, ensure that they get all the professional help they need. Because of course they have all the right intentions, but at times, in societal pressure, peer pressure, and especially in today's age where in every 5 minutes there's an irresistible urge to give a status update on social media.
Yes.
So that comparison at times is killing for children. So that's the temptation that of course we need to get rid of. So counseling parents is something really wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing this. Anamika ma'am, thank you so much. Whenever you have graced our platform, we have learned from you. And undoubtedly today also your entire deliberation was very thought-provoking and very touching. I really like the way you went about the topic, and of course the way you started about it by reciting the poem "Children Learn What They Love," and from that poem itself by Dorothy Law, few words like tolerance, so important, acceptance, approval, praise, and they really go a long way to ensure mental well-being. In fact, if my memory serves me correct, in 2-3 years back, I think 2019, there was an ebook which was released based on her work, Living with Children. That was much after her demise. I think her family, collected and published collection of inspirational poems to guide us along the path of parenting. So I think wonderful. And also, ma'am, you discussed about pupil-teacher ratio, and the fact that now the classrooms are back, schools are vibrant, but this shift from offline to online and back to offline. And of course, we're all discussing about mental health of students, but I think it's equally important in the same breath to discuss about also well-being of teachers, who are so important, the most important, because if teachers are happy, if they're really, their well-being is ensured, that will go a long way to ensure well-being of students as well. So I think overall great session, wonderful session. With contribution from all our esteemed panelists. I sincerely thank them for their time. And I'm sure members of our esteemed audience also had a great evening on this particular topic. I thank you all for being here with us and look forward to your continued support in the sessions to come. Thank you. Thank you. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.